Hello, my name's Eliza, back with another business content video. Now I know that this is a weird one for me to come back to the internet for, but I think it is very important and I'm gonna talk about why. So, as you may or may not know, we had something of a global pandemic. Many people lost their jobs, which is awful. And unfortunately, with so many people vulnerable, it's easy to get swept up by people who are trying to take advantage of you and your situation. And one area of these is something called a multi-level marketing company, or an MLM. Sometimes they call themselves direct selling, sometimes they call themselves network marketing, but it's all the same thing. And that thing is kind of a scam, specifically called a pyramid scheme, which I'll get into a bit later. Now, fortunately for me, I haven't necessarily been specifically targeted by these multi-level marketing companies. However, I do get sort of mentioned a lot because people say, oh, I'm a business owner just like you. And I go, what? Because it's not true. It's not quite the same thing. But I see these people online a lot. A lot of people are on Instagram and Facebook especially, talking about their incredible opportunity and how they work for themselves and own their own business and yada yada, and wanting you to join to do the same thing that they do. And my recommendation would be to not do that. Now, on YouTube, there are a lot of really in the know, informative, very good people who talk about why MLMs are so bad. I'll link a couple of those channels in the description. But I wanted to come on for a couple reasons. One is that one of the common criticisms against people speaking out against MLMs is that you don't know anything, so you're not allowed to criticize. So like I said, I own my own business, we all know this. I also got my MBA from Cornell University, so if anything, I am overeducated in the topics of business and how business runs. So I wanted to kind of use this as an opportunity to really break down exactly why this opportunity, as they call it, is not one, and that I personally believe that you should not partake in these companies at all, kind of run the other way. Now, if you are determined to become a member of these companies, that's fine, that's up to you, it's your decision to make. I'm absolutely not going to say, I hate you if you do this, nothing like that. I do think that you should know exactly what you're getting yourself into, because I think that there's misinformation out there about exactly what the job entails, what exactly you'd be doing, and why a lot of people view it as unethical. So I'd like to break down exactly why that is. So I'm going to start off, and I'm going to be talking about business terms in the most basic way possible. I don't mean to say this to sound condescending or anything like that. I really want to make this as crystal clear as possible and break it down as simply as possible, so that when I explain why these companies are unethical, you can see exactly why that is, and why that's not what typical businesses do, because they don't kind of believe in that business model, if that makes any sense. Okay, so I'm going to start with a really simple concept, and it's one that comes up a lot when a lot of these multi-level marketing people talk about these companies that they work for. I'll see if I can include a link of someone talking about it here. I don't want to like reveal faces or send hate anyone's way. So I'll just summarize the argument. Basically what they say is that Monet, Color Street, whatever company it is, it can't possibly be a scam because like everything's a scam is basically what they say. Your typical 9-to-5 job is a scam, etc. Specifically, when you accuse them of being a pyramid scheme, they say that everything's a pyramid because every company has a CEO, and then usually C-suite executives, and then some sort of middle management, and then employees. That's typically how most companies work, but their company is not like that. First of all, that's not true. Every single one of these companies, if you Google Monet CEO, it comes up. There is a CEO. I'm sure there is also a corporate structure. And that's the key difference that I want to make here, is that when people accuse these companies of being a pyramid scheme, they're not referring to the corporate structure, which is just how the people within the company function in terms of their roles and responsibilities in a job hierarchy. That does tend to be something of a pyramid. You can only really effectively have one CEO because you need those decision-making responsibilities to be housed under one roof, whereas employees can, do different facets, so you can have many more of them. What we're talking about when we talk about a pyramid scheme is we're talking about a business model. Now, what is a business model? It's a fancy business term way to say, how does a company make money? What is driving revenue to the company? And depending on how you make that revenue, you have certain costs associated with creating that revenue. When your company makes a profit, that generally means that your revenue exceeds your costs. And costs can be anything, including taxes. So to take an example, if you have a clothing company, your revenue comes from sales of clothing. So you have a direct sales model, if you were, where you earn revenue every time someone buys 1 unit of clothing. You get money. That's the revenue model. That's how you make money. Now you have costs associated with that, and that includes, factory labor, materials, shipping, if shipping is included, things like that. Alternatively, you might have a subscription revenue, and that means that your user pays monthly. Your Netflix account, you pay for Netflix monthly. The costs associated with Netflix are creating new content, new services, so that you are constantly paying them because you're constantly receiving a service from them. So when a company is considering their business model and they're trying to make a profit, all companies are trying to make a profit, and all companies do precisely 2 things in order to make that profit. They make things and they sell things. And things can be a bit abstract. Obviously, if you make a service like Netflix, you still make it and then you sell it to people. Any business model that you have, it's going to come in there. And any business model is trying to maximize their revenue, so earn as much money in as possible while minimizing their costs, so as spending as little money as possible. Obviously, there are some exceptions to this. More luxury brands are going to spend more, but that also means that they will justify charging you more. It can be a little bit of a trade-off, but essentially every company is just trying to get maximum profits. Now, when you are thinking about your costs, there's many different ones. Like I said before, there's taxes, there's material costs. One of the highest costs that there is labor. Either you have to pay contract workers by the hour, or you have to pay a salary, and then if you pay a salary, then on top of that you have to pay usually for benefits like health insurance, pension plans, things of that nature. So usually when it comes to your cost breakdown, labor is going to be one of your absolute highest costs, and that's no matter your company type or structure. Also, what's going to be a very high cost for your company is marketing efforts. Like I said, every company does two things. They make things and they sell things. And so selling things is going to be a big part of your budget because, you sell things out to people. That's how you earn your revenue, which you're trying to maximize. So this can come in several ways. Facebook ads that you see, or Instagram ads that you see as you scroll. It can be influencers. It can be salespeople who are going out and making calls. You spend a different amount and in different ways depending on how you are selling. If you have a direct salesperson, usually they earn a base salary and then they earn commission, which is a certain percentage of whatever they sell. Again, I know that this is all very easy, very understandable, but just stick with me for 1 second because it's really important to understand how this all comes into play so you can see why a pyramid scheme is so different to what a company classically does. Like I said, you're spending money on marketing and on labor. This brings me to the companies that are typically in pyramid schemes. So for example, Monat. I'm just gonna say Monat. If it's wrong, I'm sorry. They sell classically shampoos, but they've gone into skincare and other things. So a sort of wellness cosmetic, something called a CPG, which is consumer packaged goods brand. Most consumer packaged good brands that you've heard of, you find at the CVS or at the Walmart. You walk in, you see bottles on the shelves, you pick one, you go pay for it. So their business model, again, is sort of direct selling, and in that case, probably wholesale. So they sell a ton of this product to these retailers who then go on to sell it to you. So they have to pay for marketing in like a pretty classic sense. They show ads on TV and on the internet, etc. So they're spending money on those marketing sales, on those marketing efforts to make those sales. And usually they have to discount their offerings when they're selling wholesale so that they can get these bigger deals. So you could sort of consider that a cost if you want, but that's certainly going to affect money coming in versus money going out. Pyramid schemes don't quite work like this. You very, very rarely see an ad on Instagram for Monat. It just doesn't happen very much. Why doesn't this happen? They don't need to spend money on marketing because they have their market partners, or whatever they call them, the people who are selling the products for them. Instead of having to pay the salary of, say, a marketer, someone who's experienced in search engine optimization or Facebook ads or what have you, they now don't have to pay that salary because they have these market partners selling for them. So you may think to yourself, okay, so they must work on commission, which is technically true. But here's where it gets weird. Typically, a salesperson is making commission, selling. If they sell a product, they get money. If they don't sell a product, what they make is $0. And that's very important. So the lowest you can make in most normal sales commission-based jobs is 0. So no money, and then everything else is plus money. Where pyramid schemes are different is that the lowest you can go is pretty high in the negative direction. You have to spend money on these products usually. Sometimes you do like a one-time purchase to buy like a starter pack. Usually you have to consistently spend money on products in order to qualify. So you're not only not making money, you're losing money. If you think about your own personal finances, it is very similar to how companies think of themselves, which is that you want to, earn money and you want to spend money on things in your life, necessities or luxuries, and you want the money coming in to be more than the money that you are spending, so that, otherwise you're in debt, or someone else has to cover your costs or something like that. You become financially insolvent if you're spending more than you're making. With a pyramid scheme, you start out at a deficit, so then any sales commission that you make is bringing you back to baseline and then more. But, the worst case scenario is that you've spent money before you've done it. If you, say, buy some starter pack at, say, Monet, and you spend $200, right? So you're not starting from 0, you're starting from negative 200. And remember, like I said, you personally are trying to have revenue coming in, income coming in, that's more than your costs. You're already starting out behind. The only way that you can come back to 0 is making commissions. So you go out to other people and get them to sign up for the same $200 starter pack. And you get, I don't know, $20 in commission from each one that you sell. That's not true. I'm just saying this to make a point. You would have to get 10 people to buy a $200 pack for you to make your money back and be back at 0. So the only way you make money is for 10 people to spend $200. So that's $2,000 for the company. And then they're only spending the $200 to give back to you in commissions. So you can only make money as a seller in a company if other people are spending money. And by the way, I don't just mean like making money, I mean getting back to 0 from spending money. Now again, why is this a scam? Many other companies, you have to sell things to make money. That's true. But usually your employees are not your customers. Let's again think about your two sides of your business model, which is your revenue and your costs. In a typical company, employees come under costs, whether they're contract, commission, salaried employees. They are going to be in the cost column. You are spending money on these employees so that they provide some value to the company. Either they contribute to the making of the product or they contribute to the selling of the product. They are a cost to the company. It's why so many companies pride themselves on automation, because when you automate tasks, you don't have to pay people for their labor, and it's one of the biggest costs that companies usually have. So, they're solidly a cost. For a pyramid scheme, the people who are your sellers are actually initially in your revenue column because they're buying your products. And then the only way that they shift from the revenue generating column into the cost column is if they make other people into employees and bring other people into the revenue side, and then they have to try and move themselves over into the cost side, if you will. So that means that you're making your sales not from providing a product and having, your sales built into the cost to create that product. It means that you're actually the customer initially, and then you have to work your way into not being the customer, but only by making many other people below you into customers. So that's why it's considered unethical, because the only way that you stop being a revenue making stream for the company is if you make other people spend their money, and then those people have to make other people spend their money, and it kind of just keeps going. But the problem is that there's only so many people on the planet. There's only so many people who will buy into this, and so at some point someone's going to have just spent money. Not everyone can move from revenue into cost, and in fact almost no one makes that actual jump into cost. That is, there are very few people that the company pays more than it earns from you. You are making a deficit most of the time, and the company is profiting most of the time. It sounds like a casino, doesn't it? Like the house always wins. Well, this is kind of the equivalent. I also personally feel like MLMs can be unethical, scammy, if you will, because they spread a lot of misinformation, specifically misinformation about what it is to be an entrepreneur or business owner or what have you. I'm not gonna lie, I take personal offense to this because I am a business owner and I don't always appreciate people talking about what I do in a way that sometimes sounds like pretty disparaging, pretty patronizing, considering everything that goes into creating a business. So the first thing I hear all the time, just the concept that people who sell shampoo own their own business is, like, I don't want to say laughable, but it's kind of laughable. But let me put it to you this way. Like I said before, and you're probably tired of me saying this, a company makes things and they sell things. It's pretty obvious if you're a Monet distributor that you're selling things. But what about making things? What are you personally making that is of value that someone else is purchasing from you? You personally are not making anything. You are selling an already existing product that a company like Monet, and I know I've been harping on Monet, it's the biggest one I've seen, but there are many others. There's Beachbody, there's other ones. They are providing the product and you're just selling it. So you're not really like a business owner in the classical sense. Let me put something to you, okay? Let's say I launch my product, and my product's coming out in November, get excited. Let's say that I produce 1,000 of my product and I sell 1,000 of them, and I want to sell another 1,000. But people come back and they say to me, this product is good for this, this, and this, but I don't like the name of this product, or I think the price is too high. Well, I have the option to change it. I don't know why I would, but in theory, I can go and re-register my company as a different name in the state of Delaware, which is where I'm incorporated. I could go onto my website and change the price at any point. I just have that decision-making power. These people who sell whatever MLM products that they have, they don't have any decision-making power into the actual product itself. They have options into how to sell it, but again, that's only one half of the equation of what it takes to make a business. They're not at all involved in the product making themselves. Or what if they wanted to change the formula of the shampoo? They can't do that. So do you really own your own business? No. Now, the reason that these MLMs do not get prosecuted as pyramid schemes is that they have the veil of like physically having a product that they sell, so that it's not a straight pyramid scheme per se, because you do receive a product technically, but that doesn't really matter because it still is getting at this idea of you, even though you work for the company, you're actually creating revenue for the company unless you force other people to spend their money. And that's the only way that you stop generating revenue for them. And they're forced to start giving you money more than what you've spent. And that's the key, more than what you spent. You're the one who needs an income. If you're an employee, if you have a 9-to-5 job, even if you work a terrible job at a restaurant or a terrible job at like whatever place, you make more money than you spend on the company. Like, you're the one making an income, not the company, by your involvement in the company, because you're providing a service, and so then they pay you for it. So even if you make a couple dollars in commission and you receive shampoo, that's still much less than what you've spent on that shampoo that month or that year or whatever time period. So that's why it is essentially a pyramid scheme, but because there is this extra level of having a physical product present, they can kind of get around these regulations. But it's very obvious what it is. You know, there's no way a bottle of shampoo is worth hours and hours and hours of your time, which is what lots of people treat it as their full-time jobs. They're working 40, 50, 60-hour weeks trying to sell these shampoos, first to their friends and then honestly to strangers. And so they're putting in all this effort, but not only are you not making money for your efforts usually, but you're actually losing money. And that's very different from if you just took a classic sales job. You might not get any commissions, sure, but you usually earn that base salary. Or you just make zero money. That's your worst case scenario, but you're not spending money. You're not potentially getting yourself into debt and becoming financially insolvent. So anyway, if anyone approaches you with something like direct selling, with something like network marketing, even if you hear there's like a company called, there's a company that does like foreign currency exchange. I've forgotten what it's called. I'll put it here. These are all trying to get you to spend money to put yourself in a hole. I understand that any kind of business that you start, you have to spend money initially to start a business. That's literally just the way of things, like no matter what you do. The difference is if you're starting your own company, you can choose how much you're spending and you can choose exactly what you spend it on. You know, if I wanted to spend all my money into product development and 0% in marketing, you know, Elon Musk is famous for spending 0% on marketing. I can talk later about how that's incorrect, but you know, he claims this. You know, I can do that. Or I could spend a huge amount on marketing, spend almost nothing on the product development. It's my choice. You know, I can do what I want. So I get to choose how much I spend and what I need to spend. I mean, obviously, depending on what kind of company you have or what kind of product you're making, you're going to have to spend money on certain things. That's just, you know, the way of it. But you don't have some other company telling you like to buy a starter pack and that's how you start your own company. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I think people know this. I think if people actually looked into their soul, they would know this. But it's tempting to pick yourself up by your bootstraps, as they say, and start your own company when you've lost your job or you're a stay-at-home mom or you're otherwise, you know, wanting something more from your life. And this feels very tantalizing because some of the work is done for you. You just have to like hop on in. It sounds so like simple to do, but it isn't simple. It is frankly a bit predatory. So if you're approached by any of these companies, please reconsider joining. If you want to join, please run away. If you know of anyone in your life who, you know, is thinking about joining one of these, please share this video with them, because I think this sort of explains why you don't want to be mixed up in this, because the ethical quandary of the only way to get yourself out of debt is to force other people into debt, potentially. I think that will leave a lot of people with a bad taste in their mouths, and that is absolutely the only way that these companies make money, because they're not spending their money on classic advertising tactics like wholesale retail or internet ad spending. You know, any of those things, they're not spending it on that because they don't need to. They get the same things for free, and in fact they're making money from the people who are supposed to be selling their product, but they spend on the product. Basically, that's my rant. So please like this video, please share it, please let me know what other business topics you'd like to hear from me. And in the meantime, I will see you later.